When there is mastery of udana, then not only is there no contact with water, mud, thorns, etc., but there is movement upward. Mastery of samana causes radiance. So in these two sutras, we've got reference here to two aspects of prana, the breath, or the vital force. Apparently there's 5 of these, but Patanjali only mentions these two, udana and samana. You might be wondering what the others are, and you can easily find out if you do a search on prana, but I'll just mention it for convenience. You've got your in-breath, you've got your out-breath, you've got the breath which circulates in all the limbs, and then we've got these two, samana and udana. The udana breath has an upward motion, and the samana is to do with our digestion. So the samana is associated with the gut, with the belly, with the navel region, and udana is associated with the throat region. So there's a clear parallel here to the Navel Chakra Sutra, Sutra 29, and to the Throat Sutra, Sutra 30. So what's Patanjali telling us here? Sutra 39 is often understood by telling us that Patanjali is telling us how to levitate. Well, you would think if that's what this sutra was about, he would just say so. He would tell us that when there is mastery of udana, then you can levitate. But what he actually says is there is no contact with water, mud, thorns, etc., but there is movement upward. Now, in the previous sutra, he told us that even when the cause of bondage is relaxed, there's still a tendency to enter into bodily experience, to believe in notions of bodily experience. We could say that that's a tendency towards bondage. And it's got various strengths of pull, depending on where you're at. And that's what's represented here by water, mud, thorns. Walking through water is quite difficult, even hardened mud. Water gives resistance, but mud actually sucks us down, and thorns actually hold us back. So we're being gripped by these forces towards ignorance, towards bondage. But when these things no longer can control us, and that's what's meant by mastery. Mastery is about not being controlled by these factors, these influences. There is movement upward. We embrace the sky. We are living lightly. I was looking at a video on YouTube recently. It's an interview with the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of the Transcendental Meditation movement, with Larry King. I think it must have been made shortly before the Maharishi died, because he's lost all his hair. And Larry King was asking the Maharishi about yogic flying. The Maharishi's got all these people paying lots of money so that they can bounce up and down on big mattresses. The Maharishi spoke very fervently about the possibility of flight and about how common it is. And Larry King was asking him to talk about it and explain it. That Maharishi spoke passionately about it. I was burning for Larry King to ask the Maharishi to give a demonstration. What's the basis of the Maharishi's conviction in the power of levitation, the power of unaided flight? I think it's rather like a driving instructor who's read a book about how to drive a car but has never driven one, setting up a driving school and giving driving instruction. It's quite a unique situation here. We've got this person who's completely convinced in this possibility and teaching others, but has never demonstrated it. It'd be quite easy to get a video surely of his prowess. And of course it's bad form to demonstrate yogic powers, but I would think it's even worse form to promote them by selling courses in developing these powers. So a demonstration place. It seems to me it's quite clear here that Patanjali is not talking about levitation. He's talking about being established in samadhi. This is the movement upward. So why does he mention udana, this breath? Well, what we've had so far in Book 3 is a very intensive exploration of the limbs of yoga. And it's only the first 5 limbs that we're really interested in, because we use the last 3 limbs to explore the first 5. This is how we practice the 8 limbs of yoga. We use the last 3, which constitute samyama, to explore the first 5. So the sutras up to now have been concerned with the first 2 limbs of yoga, yama and niyama, avoiding self-indulgence and developing the appropriate attitudes. And this allows us to develop what I called the art of living. This is what's meant by asana, composure. Composure in the face of all those things that want to create resistance, to suck us down, and to impede us in our spiritual practice. So now we're on the 4th limb of yoga, which was to do with pranayama. And in video 51 I talked about pranayama. And again, pranayama is about not getting sucked into these tendencies. And we had reference to the navel chakra and the throat chakra. This time we're concerned with the breathing in these areas. The breathing in the abdomen and the breathing in the throat. Is it free? Are we breathing freely there? Do we catch our breath in the throat a lot? Do we actually breathe into our abdomen? What is the quality of our breathing in these 2 areas? Because this is a signpost. This is a check for where you're actually at. It's an indication of where you're at, a very real one. How is your breathing in these 2 areas? In the throat and in the abdomen. There's a lot of emotion associated with these 2 points, these 2 areas. And if we're established in our practice and we're happy in our abdomen and the region around it, and in the throat, the region around it, then we are not being sucked into identification with notions of the body and the external world. We're living lightly in both senses of the word, as in not being pulled down and being radiant, being positive and content in our composure. The composure of our enlightenment practice.